Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video, we are looking at quantum computing. This was a stock analysis request from one of the followers, and I wanted to let you know that anyone can make these requests, and I'll most likely cover them, especially if there is an actionable trade setup to follow. And in the case of this chart, since the previous video, there hasn't been too much going on, only some developments here in the smaller time frame, but the larger time frame perspective remains identical. We are still tracking here a 1-2 setup where now we could see a larger wave 3 to develop, or at least an internal additional wave 1. And I do want to make it this clear, this could also be an ABC movement. In the end, what is the most probable part of this entire structure is to get here another fifth wave. Once this is done, we can actually start considering that this overall structure has a complete count and doesn't need any additional highs. But based on the structure within this movement to the upside, we actually still heavily prefer further continuation higher. And this is something we expect on other quantum stocks as well. Yeah, this is nothing out of the ordinary. But in fact, on this chart, we have probably even better structure unfolding within this area, because I have, after this 4-wave move complete, an initial 5-wave move to the upside, which suggests that with a high probability, after a 3-wave correction, we can expect to find at least another 5-wave move to the upside. Now, this structure I can actually track both as an impulse and as a diagonal structure, but right now we are focusing even on the impulse interpretation. And then within this fifth wave, so far we have managed to form the wave 1. We have our wave 2 correction, which technically could have bottomed into this area of support between the $13.10 all the way down to that $6.4 level at the 78.6% retracement. But there is, at least here on the smaller time frame, a lot more weakness on this stock compared to the other quantum stocks that we have been covering. Yeah, on this chart we have, or we do see, a more significant momentum increase to the downside after we have formed here a 3-wave move only to the upside. Now, in the previous video, we were actually even tracking possible direct continuation lower internally within a wave 3 to the downside, but it seems we have managed to complete this already. We already had the 3rd wave in place, and we were looking still for 4th and the 5th, and we did get them, only a very weak wave 5, but in the end we do have the possibility to track this structure as complete, so I'm even removing this internal count. But the thing is, if we actually now form another low within this area, which is probably even preferred for me at the moment, we do risk to have a larger 5-wave move to the downside that would end up developing. Yeah, this would be a 1-2, a 3rd wave down, a 4th wave up, and then a 5th wave down, instead of having here an ABC movement. Now, this is actually a bit worrying, because if we get here a 5th wave down, we would expect a correction, a relief rally in a 3-wave move, but then we would expect another 5-wave move to the downside, which means even if we don't overall break the area of support for the wave 2 correction, there is a very good chance we should expect further continuation and quite a serious extension within this wave 2. And while of course it can be just a larger ABC pattern that develops in a more direct fashion, it's not necessarily a preferred scenario for me, and if we actually really end up forming the additional low, I will probably focus on this continuation to the downside. Now, again, it depends on how this structure develops, because within this interpretation I actually expect to be seeing a diagonal structure in the end, and if we actually form a 5-wave move to the downside within this area, I will be tracking it as a wave C. Now, for this scenario, for this case, we have here the area of resistance for the wave 4 at the levels between the $11.8 all the way up to the $16.8 level, and then we have so far pushed into the 38.2% retracement, which is the ideal target for a wave 4 before starting this continuation lower. And yeah, we only have a 3-wave move. We have even found resistance at the first level of the area of resistance. And to be honest, this structure really is suggesting to me that, yeah, we are seeing an extension lower. We can track a potential larger move to the upside in something like an ABC, but based on the internal structure in this area, it's not necessarily a high probability. Yeah, we only managed to create here a 3-wave move to the upside, and while on the other stocks, I do see a better chance of holding even those 3-wave structures on this one, it is a bit of a stretch for me, as we have already retraced a few times here below the area of support, and yeah, we even closed here the day just below it as we pushed back into the resistance levels. Now, I mean, sure, or into the support level, but sure, as we look here on the daily, we can technically consider that it did hold, but here on the smaller time frame, I do probably still prefer further continuation to the downside within this structure, although it is not needed. Right now, we can still allow it, we can still grant this movement to the upside another chance for continuation, but a break below the 78.6% retracement would be a signal to me that this structure is likely not going to work out, and then if we manage to break even below the beginning of this wave A, yeah, it would be a formal invalidation of this structure. It would signify with a more official degree that this structure is going to extend lower and that we should prepare at least for a fifth wave down, if not something more severe, for something like a larger wave C. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still bullish from a larger time frame perspective. I'm still seeing here this 5-wave move to the upside, which is highly suggestive that after this 3-wave correction, we get a high degree continuation into even a possible wave 3, yeah. But for example, if we build here the 5-wave move to the downside, yeah, I will repeat this to make it clear. We expect a push higher, but then we expect another 5-wave move to the downside, which could take us quite deep into the overall area of support. But as long as we hold here the 78.6% retracement, the $6.4 level, we are still considering this 1-2 setup with a high degree of probabilities. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and then I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.